Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from Boardgameco, and before I do anything else, I just want to show you this. That's absolutely adorable. That's from a company called T-Turtle. I'm not sponsored by them. I actually did email them to ask, but unfortunately, it is what it is. They never replied. It's all good. I'll still buy their shirts instead. In any case, let's go into this, because we have a long video today. I mean, just look at this. Look at that. It's Baby Yoda. And Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett, the Mandalorian, but it's all the same. In any case, today we have a long video, but I'm going to start by drawing a raffle winner for Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion and the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion Meeple Realty insert. And I'm actually going to, usually I like to do my drawings live on the screen over here, but I realized foolishly that this time, in order to enter, you have to give me your email, and I'd rather not share a whole bunch of people's emails on screen, so I'm going to look over at my other screen over here and quickly check the winner, which I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to do it, and it is, well, I guess I'm still not going to read his whole email, but Francis Higgins. Francis Higgins is the winner. I will be in touch with you, Francis Higgins. I'll be in touch with you via email, because I have that. And in the future, I'm going to stick to YouTube comments, I think, because I like showing it on screen. I think it's more fun, more back and forth. But Francis Higgins, I'll be in touch with you, and we'll see how that plays out. In any case, going from there, oh, and Meeple Realty sponsored this, by the way. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is from me. Meeple Realty is sponsoring the insert. They reached out. Go ahead and check out their stuff. Again, not a sponsorship, but, you know, if somebody reaches out to me and has me give away something from them, I feel it's only right to, you know, share their stuff. Head over to their site. Bunch of stuff, bunch of inserts, obviously. This Dinosaur Island chest, although keep in mind you still need to buy the sub-inserts. But in any case, that's kind of my little promotional material. I guess that's 2 promos today. From there, and timestamps down below, because there's going to be a lot to cover today. If I had to guess, I'm guessing 35 minutes for this video. Maybe I can get through it faster, but I'm guessing 35 minutes. Let's go into it. To begin with, Dungeon Universalis is going to be getting its own dedicated video, still not covering it today. It's been a packed week, and it doesn't get any easier, but we will get to this. I hope to have it up mid-next week. We have 17 days to go, so plenty of time, but it will get its own dedicated video from there. So next up, I'm going to go through this sequence, and this is something new I started doing a few weeks ago. Basically, I'm going to start covering the ones that aren't currently funding. Some of them are on track to fund, and we'll cover it, which is an interesting thing, because I guess I'm putting myself in this spot where I share the campaign with you. I don't talk about whether you should or shouldn't back it, and then as soon as it starts to successfully fund, then I'll tell you all not to back it. So weird place to be in. But in any case, 30 Seconds to Live is a light little zombie game, little car-based zombie game in which every one of your turns is 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to decide, position yourself, move. It gives you that tense feel. It currently looks like it probably will fund with 18 days to go, 4,700 out of 10,000. It probably is on track to fund, but it might be close. So if you are interested, go ahead and check this one out. All links to all the Kickstarters will be below. From there, we have Big Monster, a tile drafting game of bizarre creatures. This is actually a reprint, sort of. This was an existing game that they're bringing to the US, and this is from Opa Games. They are bringing it to the US. They're doing some slight changes. I think they're just adding an insert. I don't know if they're doing any gameplay changes, but it's a tile drafting game in which you are slowly building your monster, drafting tiles. Looks intriguing, looks interesting. I myself am not super pulled in. I had someone who said this seems right up your alley, and you're right, it does. For whatever reason, I guess maybe it's just the art. It's not really pulling me in. Mechanically, it does sound, and it does have cute little monster creatures, and so hey, check this one out, see if it looks interesting to you. If it is, give it a look, and we'll talk about it later. From there, we have Nexus, the board game. This is an interesting one because this one does not look like it's going to fund currently. I'm guessing we're going to see a cancellation and relaunch, so we'll see how that actually plays out, but basically, it is a dice rolling skirmish game with, miniatures and a very gory style or genre to it. I don't know much about the gameplay because I didn't look into it all that much yet. I did see some people who had played the prototype who gave positive opinions on it. I can't remember who it was, but I remember there's someone whose opinion I generally, align with. So I am a little bit interested, but I do want to look into it more. But I tend to wait till they're actually funding or close to funding before I really do a deep dive. But that's Nexus. Brutal, irreverent, I think is the word, right? Story-driven arena combat game full of strategy and laughs. And then we have Plunderous, which is one that I am shocked that this is not funding. Honestly, this is Rado's involved with the project. It's a giant big box project. It's Kickstarter exclusive. This is your only chance to get it. It's $95 for everything, and everything is not a small amount of stuff. I mean, you're going to want to compare this to a game like Twilight Imperium, both in terms of the gameplay it's presenting, in terms of that giant, epic, sprawling adventure, as well as just the fact that, Twilight Imperium is not a cheap game either. This is a smaller box, but it's got a ton packed into it. It's got a lot of stuff going on here. It looks like it's on the heavy side, so I would not look into this further I wouldn't look into it further if you're not interested in a heavy game, but it has elements of deck building, it has elements of area control, it has creatures, combats, upgrades, abilities, it has a voting round in which every round you're going to vote on which laws are replaced. So effectively, if you're having a hard time winning and that player is clearly dominating, you might be able to vote together to take over and adjust the rules of the game effectively, changing who and how they can win. It's epic, sprawling, giant, lots of stuff going on in this game. I am surprised, like I said, I'm surprised it's not funding. Combine everything I just said with the fact that Rado is involved with the project. Rado, I believe, designed the solo or co-op variant. Combine that with amazing miniatures. I mean, they look amazing. They look good. They look different. I don't know. They have steampunky vibe to it. Again, very surprised. This is usually more than I talk about if project isn't funding, but I've been seeing this project in my Facebook feed for who knows how long. No information about it, but I've constantly been seeing it. Oh, and art by the Meeple. I mean, again, I do not know why this is not funding yet. I'm surprised it hasn't knocked this $75,000 goal out of the water. As of right now, it probably is on track to fund, but also to be close. So we'll see how that plays out. And again, completely Kickstarter exclusive. So if you want it, now's your opportunity. That or the secondhand market. From there we get to our first cancellation, which is, well, our only cancellation. Arcana Magica, I don't know if it's Arcana Magica, is basically they canceled. They're going to be relaunching, coming back in December. They're going to be changing the structure of the campaign, possibly breaking it into 2 different games. I didn't look into this that heavily because it wasn't funding before, but I wish them all the best. I mean, I wish you guys all the best. I hope that it works out. It looks interesting. Keep an eye on it. But if you were interested in the project, it's coming back. That's the good news. Next up, we have a few updates, and I'm going to go through a bunch of updates over here, and then I'm going to go into all the new stuff. And update-wise, we basically have In Too Deep has the update over here. This is a big update for me personally, because I'm all in on this one. And this is basically, we have In Too Deep has these cute little mini drones replacing the Kickstarter, the little cylinders, the heat, effectively. Now, if you haven't played the game, this is this little mechanic where as you activate a location on the board, heat gets drawn to that location, and then you activate another location, and heat gets slowly drawn away. It effectively needs 3 activations before you can reuse a location's ability, which is both thematic and immersive and a good gameplay mechanic. And these miniatures, these little drones representing the heat, it's incredible. I'm such a huge fan. To be frank, I wasn't a huge fan of their last reveal. Their first reveal 1, I was like, okay, I was a little let down, but I had prepped myself to be not excited for it, so it's cool. But reveal 2, I am super excited for, which now means I need to psych myself down for reveal 3, that reveal 3 will not be exciting at all. It has picked up a little steam since then. It is still continuing to grow. It is continuing to grow, but I am curious on this one, and I have a question, a favor to ask if it were, which is, Burnt Island's games, their last game, I think in the Hall of the Mountain King, did have a surprisingly strong finish in the last few days, but nonetheless, it hit 400,000. And In Too Deep right now, I think if In Too Deep hits 200,000, that would already be a huge success, given where they are now. And so what I'm curious about is, if you are not backing this game, not if you are backing this game, but if you are not backing this game, let me know in the comments down below why. I'm interested. I want to know, is there something they can do to reassure you? Is there something they can do to convince you? Because what is it? Is it the theme? Is the theme not pull you in? Is it the price tag? Just the burnt? I don't know. Tell me what it is about this game that is not pulling you in, and doubly so if you are someone who backed Endeavor or if you backed in the Hall of the Mountain King. Because I'm curious. I mean, I am working with the publisher. I'm not getting paid in any way, but I have communicated with them, and I'm very, I don't know. For me, I'm sucked in. As soon as I saw Burnt Island Games, I was already all in from the first Kickstarter. And I'm just curious what goes into that thought process for others. And this is a great game. I played it again. I had a live playthrough with them. You can check that out in their, if you look in their updates, you'll see that. They posted a link to the YouTube video. So the live video is now available to watch. But basically, I am very interested into what it is about this game that you are not backing. I'd appreciate it. Thanks. From there, we have Return to Planet Apocalypse, which I already covered, but like I said, this is the update section. This one has, well, right now 3 days to go, but by the time you watch this, nothing to go, basically. And right now, we have this huge demon lord from Doom 3. This is the cyber demon or whatever it is, that is, the one who shoots 3 rockets in Doom 3, if you've ever played Doom 3, and it's cool. It's cool that this is here. Sandy Peterson, if you don't know, has a long history of being involved in video games, so there's a connection here. But basically, they're bringing that lord into Planet Apocalypse. I am happy that I canceled my early bird pledge, and I specifically canceled my early bird pledge because I didn't want to be pulled in, and it is tempting. I mean, they're adding stuff. I stand by everything I said until now, which is this was an enjoyable game. I think it's a very good game. I think if you liked, I understand why it's rated an 8.5. I agree with that rating completely. I just have too many games in this genre, and the personal style of most of the demons is what turned me off from picking this one as opposed to another one. But this guy, I like this guy, and look how tall he is, okay? Look how tall he is on this chart. This is like a 4th demon or whatever it is, and this is one of the other lords, and this is the Cyber Demon. So yeah, I'm kind of happy I canceled my pledge because I would be strongly debating going back in if not for that early bird loss. Dinosaur Island, not a lot of updates here. Basically, just more of the same. They've unlocked some more stuff in terms of these stretch goals. They've added a hybrid pack. The only reason I'm going to be talking about it here today is because of that hybrid pack. Basically, I had someone ask me, should I back the hybrid pack or not? And the answer is yes if you want it, meaning I don't think it's a great price for what you're getting, but it is a Kickstarter exclusive. Therefore, it's the best price you're probably going to get. I doubt it's going to be cheaper later. So yeah, if you're on the fence with the hybrid pack, I recommend going ahead and getting it if you are, in for everything else or whatnot. Next up, we have Machina Arcana to Eternity. And I know there's a reason I want to talk about this, but first of all, I will note, if you missed it, I do have a review going up, or not going up, I have a review that just went up on Saturday, so you can check out my review there. And past that, just going over the stretch goals, over here we have basically a bunch of stretch goals that have been unlocked, and hopefully will continue to be unlocked, because I just want more and more and more. But over here we go, we have new scenarios, monsters, events, explorers, monsters, item, monsters, event, item, monster, explorers, events, new monster. You may notice a distinct lack of any map tiles. Jiraj, if you're watching this, can you add map tiles? I'd really appreciate it, because the map tiles in this game are one of my favorite parts of this game. Unlike in other games, when you have games, and keep in mind, I'm a huge Zombicide fan, but in Zombicide, when people ask for more map tiles, I don't care. They all look and feel the same. I'm fine with the ones they have in the game. I don't need any differences. In Machina Arcana, one of the things I love is how every map tile manages to feel incredibly distinctive. Every map tile is a recollection of, oh, that's right, this tile. I have to figure out how to move around, and I like the setup there, and I like going to the trap over there. I love the map tiles in this game. I know tiles in general are actually one of the more expensive parts of a game to produce, but Jiraj, if you can add an optional buy of 10 new map tiles, I'm all in for that. I would love that. I really do think it's a good idea. You should totally do that. I would happily buy them because the map tiles in this game are amongst my favorite things that I like them. They really do feel thematically different. So now that I've sat there and harassed a creator to do more stuff just because I want it, let's move to the next one, which is 7th Citadel, which is another one that I did a review for on Saturday. So if you missed that, check out my review of 7th Citadel. Overall, I like it. Really, genuinely, I am debating keeping 7th Continent right now because of 7th Citadel. Not because the difference is that big, but because 7th Citadel, to me, is better. It just straight up is better to me personally. And even though the gap is small, I just have a hard time investing more time in 7th Continent when I'd rather just play 7th Citadel. Granted, 7th Citadel is, a year and a half, 2 years out, but it's interesting. I'm genuinely on the fence. If you wait till next month's roundup, it's very possible 7th Citadel, 7th Continent will be in the games I'm getting rid of because of this. Past that, they added an expansion over here, a new optional buy. So we have, if I can find it, we have the Unveilers, which gives you these little miniature plant creatures. On the one hand, it's a little expensive for what you're getting, seemingly. I mean, the price point seems like a lot for what you're getting. On the other hand, the whole world you're in 7th Citadel, if you don't know, is this weird one, and if I get this wrong, excuse me, it's a weird theme, so it's a little hard to have it perfectly. But basically, you have these worm-like creatures coming up from underground, combined with these trees that are being planted by the Citadel. These trees are being planted to kind of defend against these worm-like creatures. It's this weird, interesting post-apocalyptic setting. And over here, we have, honestly, I'm not sure if they're worms or trees, but there's something. We have something, and it's cool. And so yeah, I think it's cool. I'm intrigued. But 7th Citadel, great game. Check out my review. Check out my should you back it, all that stuff. And from there, we have more updates. The Thing. Basically, The Thing is the one that I covered already. I gave it a dedicated roundup. Short opinion on that. And again, I'm just saving this for those who don't watch the full thing and watch the roundups. But in The Thing, the basic opinion I have at the end of it is a game that I think will hold its value-ish. I think you might have to fight a little harder than you would like to, or be a little more patient to get every dollar back. But if you want to take a hit on it, or by a $10, $15 hit, I think that's fine. You'll probably get that much back. As far as yourself, the big thing for me at least is that this game is going to be available for like $40 in retail with significantly less of the deluxified extras, 100%, but I don't think this is going to hit the table enough in my group to be worth going for that whole decked out premium experience. So at the end of the day, I am passing on the thing just because of that gap, but yeah, overall, I think if you get it, it will come close to holding its value, but likely will not hold its value entirely. It's expensive. It's fairly expensive compared to other games that do similar things. Who Goes There being the most notable example. From there we have Set a Watch. Set a Watch, my short opinion was good game, good company, good price. Go ahead and back it. You're talking about a few bucks either way. So if you're interested in this game, then go ahead and back it. If you like the first game, go ahead and for sure back it. And if you didn't like the first game, maybe find a copy now somewhere else and then go ahead and back the expansion here. All that kind of stuff. From there we have Untamed Feral Factions, and this is where we get to all the new things. We still have, again, 14 minutes into this video, we still have plenty of new stuff to cover, and Untamed Feral Factions is the first one to cover. This one is one that, by the time you watch this, there's going to be barely any time left, and I apologize for that. I don't know, I had this in my list somewhere, but it didn't actually make its way onto a Kickstarter video, which means at some point, I don't know what happened, I just missed this. Somehow I missed this. I knew about it, and yet I missed it. But in any case, Untamed Feral Factions is basically it's the Spirit Strike version, whatever it is. This is basically a newer version or an updated version of the original game. You could get an expansion pack from the original game, or you can just get the whole thing over here. The short version is first of all, this is available on Tabletopia. This is available on Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia, I believe. So go ahead and check this one out if you are interested. It's basically a head-to-head game which you have these different factions you're going to be playing with. It's kind of a CCG, but not really a CCG. No collectible aspect to this game. As far as should you back it, should you not, it's a bit of a tough one. It falls into that zone of this is likely your best opportunity to get everything here at this price. The Spirit Strike version of this game will never be sold again, or will not be sold except on Kickstarter or whatnot. So this is your opportunity to get that. In terms of pricing and ability to resell it or whatnot, judging by the original campaign, it looks like it kind of might hold its value, but there's not a lot of sales to go by. There's basically a handful of sales, of which people were able to get their money back, so it's decent, but it's also a very small sample size, so take it with a grain of salt. As far as whether you should get this or not, I would say if you're interested, check it out on Tabletop Simulator, see if it's for you. If that's really not your thing and you don't want to check it out on Tabletop Simulator, and you are still interested, I do recommend getting it. I don't think the price difference is so high, and this is your only real opportunity to get the Spirit Strike edition of the game. In terms of the MSRP thing, you can ignore that because once you factor in shipping, it's basically the same price anyway. So it is the same price as MSRP once you factor in shipping, not really getting a savings on price, but it is your best opportunity to get the Spirit Strike edition because it won't be available later except on the secondhand market. So that's Untamed Spirit Strike, a 2-player head-to-head. I don't know if it's 2-player exclusive, but primarily 2-player head-to-head game with a bunch of animals, adorable art. Totally, I'm for the record, I'm not backing this, but I'm very interested in it. I have a thing with 2-player card games I found over time. I just traditionally don't end up pulling them out and playing them unless they're more cooperative in nature. So that is Spirit Strike Untamed Feral Factions. Next up, we have Agropolis. I'm going to call it Agropolis. A solo and cooperative farm building game, 3,600 backers, $92,000 raised, and this might seem like it's a low number, but considering the price point here is $10, it's not a low number. And the reason for that is because this is a standalone Sprawlopolis game, which means as soon as I'm done with this video, I will be heading over here and backing the game. Straight up. I'll save you some time if you want to skip, I'm backing this game. As far as why I'm backing this game is because, well, first of all, I love Sprawlopolis. I am all in. You just say a standalone Sprawlopolis game and I'm all in. It might suck, I don't care, I'll find out later, and worse comes worse, I'm out $14. As far as more than that, it's basically Sprawlopolis with variants, adjustments, and yes, you can combine them with the Kickstarter exclusive expansion Comboopolis or Combopolis or something like that. But basically, the game is going to cost you $10 for the game plus $4 shipping. Normally, their games sell on their site for $12, and that's without the extra Comboopolis expansion. So you're basically getting a pretty good price. And this game, by the way, is hard to find in other places. It's not commonly available. So while you can actually get it cheaper if you really hunt or if you go to Boardgame Geek Marketplace and find some cheap copy, or Boardgameco, I know we occasionally have sold it for like $7, which is great if you're getting a larger order anyway, but overall, this is one where the price is good enough on the game that worse comes to worse, you're talking about a few bucks, and practically speaking, if you want to get it sooner rather than later, it is a savings on a game that's probably good. As far as other games in their series, the big thing you want to be wary of, they do have like a whole monthly sign-up thing, which is cool. The big thing you want to be wary of with Button Shy Games is they have a bunch of real standout hits, but they also have a lot of games that are just okay. So I don't personally go in for the full line or the monthly club, but they certainly have games that are worth paying attention to, and anything with the word Sprawlopolis in, I am paying attention to. So So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and back it. I highly recommend you check it out, because if you like, I mean, it's a solo game, I should say that in case you didn't know. Yes, there's a 2-player version, but primarily it's a solo experience, but it's great. I really recommend checking it out. I am all in for this one because it's more Sprawlopolis. I mean, oh my gosh. In any case, Thunderstone Quest is up next. Thunderstone Quest, The Enemies Among Us. This one is pretty easy because, well, easy is a relative term, because I debated doing a full video on this one just because of how much stuff there could be depending on the pledge levels you go for. Now, I will say Thunderstone Quest is a really well-rated game. It's a game that didn't work for me personally. I found it very good, but not amazing. I mean, I'd happily play it. I'd never turn down a game, but I didn't keep it in the end of the day. But it is a really well-rated game, so ignore my opinion here. But in terms of the actual value aspect, in terms of all that, the big problem I have here is depending on which pledge level you're looking at. So let's start with the basic pledge level at $50 for just the quests. And that's going to be over here. That's just giving you those 2 new quests at $50, and that's giving you 2 new quests. Practically speaking, those quests online sell for around $32. You're talking about $64, which means the big question is the shipping. And they didn't list the shipping price, or at least I couldn't find it if I missed it. They didn't list the shipping price in the shipping and handling section for the just the quest pledge level. The cheapest shipping they had was for the Enemies Among Us reward, which was roughly $20, but that is for a bigger box. So I don't know how much the shipping comes out to here, but basically if it's going to be more than $12, then you're already paying more than you can get it for later, or more than $14. If it's more than $14 shipping, you're paying more than you can get it later, and you're giving your money up in advance. So practically speaking, if you're in for just the quest level, I'd probably recommend passing and waiting for retail. If you want more than that, on the other hand, that's a whole different story, because those other things are not typically as available as the standard quests online or whatnot. And that is the Enemies Among Us reward is giving us the 2 new quests, as well as upgraded plastic dividers, a giant box, super deluxe storage box, and rulebook and quest book. So at that point, you're basically paying more, but you're paying $95 for that, so you have to decide, is the $95 versus $64, an extra $31, is that worth it for all the stuff you're getting? That's your decision to make, not mine. It depends on the whole box situation, how much stuff you're doing, all that. And then from there we have the Champion Reward. It's basically giving you the original Thunderstone Quest, a whole bunch of quests, tons of stuff. I highly recommend this option if you're jumping into Thunderstone Quest for the first time. This is giving you a lot of content and a fairly good value. And then finally we have the All-In Gameplay Reward, which is too much to break down. This is the one where I'm not doing all the research on, but because this covers multiple Kickstarters that I didn't cover. But I would say if you're interested in this one, go ahead and check out the other Kickstarters, see if it's a good buy. I do not know the value proposition on this one. I can tell you that the main Champion Award is a pretty good buy, and the other ones are the Enemies Among Us depend on how much you care about the box, and the Just the Quests seems okay at best, and really just giving up your money a year in advance. But that is Thunderstone Quest. From there, I need to like have a thing of water next to me. Somebody once said you can take a drink doing these videos, and I should, because I try to avoid pausing them. I actually could pause, by the way. I could do a little pause on hit space bar, pause the video. I try to avoid that because something that's been said over time by different people I agree with is the lack of editing to a certain degree, the lack of cuts to a certain degree, means I don't filter myself. It means I can't sit there, if I say something stupid, if I say something that is problematic, if I express a negative opinion, it is what it is. And so I specifically try to avoid hitting that pause, grabbing a drink of water. I do it occasionally, but I try to avoid it as much as possible, although I should grab a water bottle next time for these longer videos. And now that I just made this video a minute longer than it had to be, let's go into Dungeon Fighter. Dungeon Fighter, a cooperative dexterity game for 1-6 players where you throw dice at a target in whimsical ways to defeat monsters in a deadly dungeon. That's an apt description. Dungeon Fighter is a game by Horrible Guild. This is basically what they're doing is they had Dungeon Fighter, the Dungeon Fighter existed, the expansions existed, and they're restructuring it and giving you new content in the form of 4 different standalone games. They're giving you 4 different standalone games to this. Before you asked, they already addressed why they didn't try to cross components. They basically said, you're not saving enough for it to be worthwhile, and it just makes everything much more of a mess. I don't know enough about every individual component to comment, so I'll say I will take their word for it. I don't know. I don't really care enough. I don't know why I said that. You see, this is an example of where I should edit. In any case, going from there, so what are we talking about here? What is this game? This game is a dungeon exploration game, but it's really more of a fun little dexterity game where you're going to be rolling dice onto the table, tossing them under your leg, throwing things blindfolded. It's a party/dungeon crawl game, which is an interesting genre. I've never actually had the opportunity to play it. I have always been interested in it and never actually gotten into the table. So yeah, color me interested in Dungeon Fighter. As far as the actual pledge levels, what we have here is we have $42 for the base to get one of these 4 boxes. Pick a box, your choice. Then from there we have initial $77 to get any 2, $112 to get any 3, and $141 to get all 4. Basically, it's roughly $40 for the first one, $35 for the second and the third, and then if you get all 4 of them, it drops down to $35 for everything. Effectively, that's what the math works out to. But shipping is a big deal. Before we go further into what you get, shipping is going to drop you or raise you to, let's see if we can find it here. Shipping is going to raise you to, for one box, you're getting an additional $12. Now your $42 box is $54. And on $19 for 4 boxes, bringing you to $160. Or in other words, that Dungeon Master all-in pledge drops you to effectively $40 per box, whereas that that $54 for a single box. So it's $54 for one box, or if you go all in, it's $40 for all the boxes. Dungeon Fighter, the original game, had an MSRP of, I believe is $59.95, I can't recall exactly, which puts it at basically going to be in retail at roughly $42, $40, maybe $38. It does range depending on the store and depending on the day and whether it's the first day on the shelves or being deep discounted. But basically, $40 per box is a reasonable price for this game, in my opinion, plus you get the extras. But $54 is a lot more than I would want to pay personally, considering what you can get at retail. And there are extras. There is a deluxe metal marker. You can also buy additional metal components and whatnot. They also have these silicone trays, the sleeve packs, the custom card sleeves, all this stuff over here. So this one's a bit of a weird one because if you're looking at a single box, I don't think the extras are worth it, and I'd recommend waiting for retail. If you're looking at all 4 boxes, then I think it's probably worth going ahead and getting it. But are you willing to spend that much money on a light little dexterity-based fun party game? I mean, if you've played Dungeon Fighter and you're in for all 4 boxes, I think that's excellent. Let's see how many people we have at different pledge levels. We have 1,000 people for all 4 boxes, 12 for 3, which makes sense, by the way. Once you're getting 3, just get 4. We have 268 for 2 and 891 for 1. I think it's a reasonable distribution. I think if I were going for this, I would go all in. I am not backing this right now. I am interested in the game and plan on picking it up. I just never played the original and don't know enough if I want to commit to that higher level. And that $40 per box for the all-in is decent. Not amazing, it's decent. And that is basically Dungeon Fighter. From there we have Shaolia. I don't know how to pronounce that. Shaolia, I could be mistaken here. Anyways, the second print and expansion. And I actually have played the first game, Shaolia Warring States. And overall, before we get into the value, my own opinion of the game is overall I liked it. I did like it, but I didn't think it was great. It's basically a 2-player game in the vein of Magica, in the vein of I don't know, Valeria Card Kingdoms, in the sense that you're rolling dice and allocating them to different buildings that you're building. It's slightly different in the actual implementation because a single die doesn't activate everything. You have to allocate the dice to different buildings, but it has that element and that feel, but in more of a 2-player head-to-head game. And there's a 3 or 4-player mode, but I recommend the 2-player mode as really being the ideal. But it's a head-to-head, dice rolling game in that genre where you're going to be buying different buildings. It's interesting. I like it. I think it's a 7.5 on Boardgame Geek. I think that's a totally reasonable rating. I totally agree with that. For myself, I think that I vastly preferred and as a guilty pleasure, not necessarily as a better game, but as a guilty pleasure, I like Valeria Card Kingdoms much more if I'm going for that genre of game. This is a 2-player head-to-head version, so it is different. I liked the game without loving it, and so I decided to eventually move on from it. But overall, I think it was a solid game, and I'm intrigued by the expansions. And one of the expansions adds a solo element to the game, so that definitely will mix things up in that sense. But that is basically Shaolia Warring States. As far as the value stuff, as far as the pledge levels, so let's look at their graphic, because they had a good graphic for that, which I like to go through. Generally, when a campaign has a graphic, I try to look at that because I find this much better. Here we go. We have the Serpents tier, $25 for the expansion, which plus shipping, and I think shipping was like $9 for that, I can be mistaken. The Kenta tier is $34, that gives you a big box plus the expansion to store everything together. Then we have the Porcus tier for $56, which gives you the original deluxe edition of the game. The Tigress tier for $80, which gives you the original game plus the expansion. And finally the Dragon tier, the Dracon tier for $89, which gives you the original, the expansion, and that big box. So effectively 3 different products with mixing and matching in different configurations. If you want them, I recommend going ahead and getting them. I think that they will hold their value. What I mean by that is if you look at the actual geek market on the original game, you are losing money. People who bought this game and then resold it are losing money, but they're primarily losing money on the shipping and then like $5. Meaning, in other words, this is a game where you will likely lose some money, but there's enough of an audience and it's a good game and it's well rated that you're probably not going to lose a lot. So it depends how much you value getting it earlier. It depends how much you value the big box. The big box might have a different value proposition aspect. It's not that much money extra for the box, which, I mean, they're basically charging you $9 extra for a full box, which is a pretty good deal. Boxes are actually one of the expensive parts of games. But basically, that is Shaolia Warring States. If you're interested, I do recommend checking it out. I do not think it will hold this value from a firm dollar to dollar, but it is already a well-rated, well-liked game, and so you're definitely safer in that sense. 2 left, guys. 2 left. Windward expansion and big box. This is by, I can't remember the name, Eldorado Games. This is by Eldorado Games, who brought you Island Eldorado. They brought you Age of Atlantis most recently. I think it's Age of Atlantis. I think that's the name of it. And they brought you Windward, and now they're bringing you Windward and the expansion and the big box. Now, this is one where I need your help on, because actually I need your help on the next one too. But I want to get Windward. I'm intrigued by it. And let me tell you why. I'm intrigued by it because before we get into the pledge levels, let's look at the little. Here we go. So over here we have one of the mechanics of the game, which is really as much as I know about it, but it looks so interesting, is this idea that your ships have 4 movement every turn. It's given 4 movement, but any movement in the direction of the wind is free. Meaning the wind is going to constantly be turning in this game, and you can move as far as you want, as free as you want in the wind, but then 4 movement past that. Which presents you with this fascinating optimization puzzle as you try to min-max to get as much free movement in the game as possible. Past that, there's a whole bunch of things going on in the game, from building your crew, from hunting leviathans, to plundering treasures, to being in top, gathering supplies, honestly just watching all this. They have different levels of elevation in the game in terms of different ships that will operate on different spheres. And there's this whole aspect to the game, but I'm just pulled in by that wind element. For me, I kind of wish the board looked cooler. I wish the art looked more appealing and pulled me in more. Visually, I'm not pulled in by this game at all. Mechanically, that one mechanic alone is kind of pulling me in. So, if you've played this game, if you like this game, Jesse, Cracklope, you played this game. If you've played this game, reach out to me. Let me know how it was, or put in the comments down below, how is this game? What are your opinions of it? Did you like it? Did you not? I am very intrigued because I kind of want it, but it's $100 for both things. Is it worth it? Is it not? I don't know yet. As far as the actual campaign, all that stuff, let's go into it. So, and by the way, it's a 7.7 on Boardgame Geek, so definitely people like it. The question is how many like it. And it's Windward. It adds the Windward Treasure of Skies expansion, which adds a 3rd level of elevation, adds more world building event, a pirate style faction, and you complete contracts. Basically adds more modular aspects or whatnot to the game. Plus, it's worth noting, there is effectively an upgrade pack. If you didn't know about it already, the original game had some production issues, basically because of the factory they chose. So if you buy the upgrade kit over here, you're going to get a discount on shipping as well. But it gives you the collector's edition box, it gives you expansion components, plastic tray, all unlock stretch goals, and then replacement stuff to match them from the new factory. I think they're working with Panda this time. I could be mistaken, but they're basically, Panda, if you don't know, is one of the big board game factories that does a really good job, Anyway, so that is Windward. Windward is, well, that's not Windward. I didn't talk about this. Should you back it? So the pledge levels, we just talked about the first one is $45 for the upgrade kit plus expansion plus big box, which really seems like a pretty good deal, all things considered, honestly. Then for $99, we have the collector's edition, which gives you everything, and then plus shipping, of course. Shipping is going to be $5 or $15, I believe, or maybe let me check the shipping thing. I think there was a discount that was $5 or $15. So if we go down here to the shipping area, shipping is $15, and the discount you get is either $5 or $15, depending on what you're getting here. So that is Windward and all the stuff, all the extras, and everything else there. Should you back it? Should you not? It seems like it's close, meaning this is one of those that I like Shaolia before it. I think you might lose a few bucks on. Just looking at the last Kickstarter and looking what that was selling for, it's a little bit harder to know for sure, because with that one having production issues, we might be seeing a bit more of the price being affected by the final product, effectively, versus this one hopefully won't, and so we'll have to see. But if you are interested in this game, I think it's a relatively safe back. Again, relatively safe back doesn't mean you get all your money back. It means you lose $10 or you lose $15, but most of if you don't like it, if you want to sell it or trade it, and you paid $100 for this, you'll get back 85, 90, whatever it is. So that is Windward, a relatively safe back because it's an expansion of a game that's rated 7.7 on Boardgame Geek, and those tend to do pretty decently. And lastly, we have Desolated. Desolated is the second one I need help with because I'm frankly baffled. This is an engine builder for 1 to 6 players, commanding a fairly high price point, and there's a few things going on here. First of all, they had a early bird stretch goal type of thing. Not stretch goal. They had an early bird going on in this campaign, so if you got an early, you locked into, I think it was free shipping or credit on shipping. Additionally from that, they have this whole thing where the core box is going to be $23 for a core box, which is enough components for 1 to 2 players. Or you can go all in and get $93, which is 3 core boxes, enough components for 6 players, 1 to 6 players, plus the various expansions and whatnot, and you could buy those all separately. So if you think you're not playing this more than 3 or 4 players, you can math it out and see which one's the better option for you. As far as what this game is and why I need your help for it, it seems like a light engine builder. This seems like a game in the vein of Century, Spice Road, of Splendor, and it commands a $93 price point. I mean, I guess technically you can get the $23 price point for just the core box. it seems to be fairly expensive, all things considered, for what you're getting, and it looks interesting. I am intrigued. I like engine builders, I like Century Spice Road, I like Splendor. I am definitely interested in this game, but am I interested enough to go all in, or am I willing to go partially in? And my answer there is no. On both of those, I'm not really willing to invest in just a 1 to 2 player experience for this at $23 plus shipping. At that point, you can get Century Spice Road or Splendor. And I'm certainly not willing to go at $93 if what I'm currently seeing is just an engine builder. And, I mean, just an engine builder is a very easy across-the-board term. But the style or the genre of this game seems to be very much into that. You know, play this card, get this, play that card, cycle upwards. It seems to be fairly simplistic, not a bad thing, but commanding either a locked-out partial game or a super expensive all-in pledge. So I do have a pledge because I jumped in for that early bird just in case. This is one that, as of now, I'm going to be dropping on or passing on. I will say I've had a lot of people commenting that they wanted me to cover Desolated. So you tell me, what about this game is pulling you in? Is it the art? I can appreciate that. Machina Arcana is a game that I'm sucked in by the world they are building. I'm sucked in by the art. So let me know in the comments down below, what is it about this game that you are pulled in by? What about this game is calling to you that you are interested in Desolated? Because unless you can tell me, I think that the market over time will probably judge it the same way I am right now, that it's too expensive at the basic pledge to be comparable to a Century Spice Road or a Splendor, and the all-in pledge, which might give you much more and much more of a game and more expansions and more of that, is super too expensive. So let me know. Like I said, right now, as of now, I have my pledge locked in. Maybe I'll give it a shot. I have to take a look at that early bird discount and shipping and see what that gives me. I am intrigued. The art is nice. The engine building game looks good. I just think I'm just a little baffled at where this game is trying to play and how well it will end up doing accordingly. And also reviews and stuff. I didn't see like any real content or reviews on any of this stuff. So looks good, but nobody telling me it is good. I don't know. Tell me in the comments down below, in addition to anything else I've asked you for this video, what it is about this game that is pulling you in. And that's it. 35 minutes, 35, just shy. We're at 36 minutes. A whole lot of stuff to be covered. It's going to be continue to be crazy because, well, it is calming down a bit, but we do still have more stuff coming. We still have some pretty big players coming to the table. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Boardgameco, and I hope you enjoyed this video. That's better. When I was a lad, I was gloomy and sad as I was when the day I was born. When other babes gurgled and wiggled, I proudly was loudly forlorn. My friends and my family looked at me clammily, thought there was something amiss, while others found various antics hilarious. All I could manage was this, or this, or this, ha 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 ha. My father, he shouted, he needs to be clouted, his teeth on a reef, I'll hand him. My mother, she cried as she rushed to my side, you're a brute and you don't understand him. So they sent for a witch with a terrible twitch, and they asked how my future impressed her. She took one look at me and said, hee 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 hee. Hee 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 hee. What else could he be but a jester? A jester? A jester! A funny idea, a jester! No butcher, no baker, no candlestick maker, and me with the look of a fine undertaker, and he pressed her? As a jester? But where could I learn any comical turn? It was not on a book on a shelf. No teacher would take me to mold me and make me a merry man full or an elf. But I'm proud to recall that in no time at all, with no other resources than my own recourses, with firm application and determination, I made a fool of myself. I found a little bow and I learned to shoot. I found a little horn and I learned to toot. Now I can shoot and toot. Ain't I cute? I started to travel to try to unravel to my mind and to find a new chance. When I got to Spain, it was perfectly clear that the field to appear was the dance. But with firm application, I forgot this part. 1 second. I started to travel to try to unravel my mind and to find a new chance. When I got to Spain, it was perfectly clear that the field to appear was the dance. The Spanish were clannish, so I wouldn't vanish, and learned every step they had planned. The first step at all wasn't hard to recall, because the first step at all was to stand. And stand. And stand. And this party runs around in a circle and stamps his foot. I was battered and abused, and the king was amused, and before her siesta he made me his jester, and I found out soon that to be a buffoon was a serious thing as a rule, 'cause a jester's chief employment is to kill himself for your enjoyment, and a jester unemployed is nobody's fool. That was it. I want to do that again because last week I still messed up a little bit, but last week I did it mid-video without any plan, and I used to be able to do the whole thing perfectly, and even now I messed up a little bit, but I really love that video, the Court Jester. I really love that video growing up, and yeah, well, got some water, prepped for it, and that is your post-credit scene coming up in Avengers 5 or whatnot. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe, and this time, really, if you stuck around, first of all, good for you if you stuck around. Have a good one.